Today, we're going to be talking about how to make a teaboat, or well, how we're going to make a prototype teaboat. Welcome to Between the Cracks. Well, we could not be more between the cracks today. I have been working all day and did not have time for my morning bike ride, so I just got home, and Jonathan is in the studio throwing.
Happy to join.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Let's
I'm
do
going
it.
to take notes.
Cool.
So I know what we're doing, what we're going to be making for you.
Yeah, cool.
My first question is, as a tea drinker, Gong Fu style tea drinker, why would one even need a tea boat?
Oh. Well, Derek would say you don't. Derek would say you don't need a teaboat. I think there's a couple main reasons. The first thing is I think about like as my tea practice like has grown. I like to have place settings all around my house. So like in my living room we have one. If we're playing like Magic on Saturday nights, I'll bring out a set. And the easiest way to like transport but also keep it like kind of enclosed is on a teaboat, as opposed to like, you go to a tea house, it's the main attraction. Most of the time, even when I'm drinking tea in group setting, it's not like the main thing, it's like the second thing. So that's probably the main reason for me, I think, of why I use a tea boat regularly.
Like a tea house would have like possibly a bar with an inbuilt drain, or a tea table, like a whole table that has a drain.
Yeah.
Um, More at your own home, having a container that catches the water from the rinse and all that.
Yeah.
In a boat can be a good solution.
Yeah, and like I'm not really a big like I normally do like a dry setup. Like if I'm just sitting in my office, I normally just have like a tea towel and I'll just put something just to soften it like against my desk. But yeah, like specifically when there's like something else going on where there's other things out, I don't want to risk like spilling on something else. And so that's when I see it more than like I don't really do the pouring over the top, like pouring water over the top of my teapot. I know it's a thing. I know people do it. I know people in China do it. I know people in tea houses do it. That's not really why I ever do it. It's only like if I'm doing it off to the side.
Well, I think one thing I love about teaware and Gofu um, is like at its essential, it's so simple to just make tea, right?
Yeah.
You need tea, you need a vessel that the tea leaves are in,
Yeah.
you need water, you need to move that water from one place to another and eventually into your mouth, right?
Yeah.
But then there's all these other little nuances that can optionally enter in, and it can become this extremely complicated ceremonial like gesture, but it still boils down to just the baseline like water leaves taste.
Yeah.
And so the boat is an optional vessel
For sure.
but it solves the potential problem of spilling water on your table.
Yeah, and like there's times specifically the water on the table example, when I do brew with like a towel on like my actual table, because my actual table is real wood. My office is like fake, like just gross. It's not real wood. So if I pour water on it, boiling water, it's not a problem. But sometimes like if I am brewing dry on my real table, and let's say I put the lid on and there's a little bit of boiling water that spills out the outside and it drops onto the towel, it doesn't look like anything happens. But then after several steeps, if you pick up the towel, you'll see the water's permeated into the table, and then I have to like steam my table in order to like pull the water back out. And it's kind of it's like silly where it's just like it definitely is not essential, but I think for me I brew tea enough that it solves a problem.
When I'm firing a kiln with pots in it, we're often steeping tea at the same time, and we'll just have our teas like a gaiwan and cups on bricks.
Yeah.
And then when we do our rinse, we'll throw the rinse at the kiln, and it will like hit the hot kiln and steam off.
Yeah. That's
And
cool.
it's like that has become this very kind of like ritual thing for me.
Yeah.
But it's also like very much tied to this very strange context of having a kiln going in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you like skip the boat if you have a hot Atagama nearby.
Well, since I don't have a giant wood kiln nearby me to go drink tea at, I'll skip it.
Yeah.
But that brings me to my first question for you, which is about kiln placement. I know that we've talked about it a couple times. I don't know how much people know like where things are in the kiln matter specifically for like, I mean, maybe you can speak a little bit more to it, but I'm curious if you think where you think having the boat would be for the best impact, being able to get like the most action, but also like, do we have any worries like we do with a thinner cup or gaiwan or teapot?
In like very broad terms, the front of the wood kiln is going to be the hottest, and it's also going to be the most exposed to heavy ash in the
Hmm.
flames, which can yield the most dramatic, beautiful
Yeah, it
surfaces,
looks the
but
coolest for sure.
also,
Yeah.
yeah, but also has the highest risk of like material on the surface building up and causing changes in the shape of the vessel.
Yeah.
And so I often will put like large jars in that zone, and they can just get like hammered by the fire, and
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter if the rim is a little bit misshapen, or if like unexpected things happen in that zone, because the jar functions without a lot of precision.
Yeah.
And something like a small gong fu style, like 90 ml teapot, where the lid needs to fit
Perfectly.
airtight,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the flow of the tea out of the spout needs to be like very dialed in proportion to everything. It's not going to likely to survive that kind of exposure.
Right.
And so I put it further in the back of the kiln, where the temperature shifts are more mild and the atmosphere is carrying less material as the flame like works its way to the end of the kiln and out the top of the chimney.
Yeah.
Um, and so, there's always like a little bit of a decision making and a little bit of a compromise to be like, oh, well, I want my teapot to have this dramatic, beautiful surface.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna like risk it a little bit and bring it forward, and then it's more beautiful, but it's more likely to fail. And or like, oh, I really need to play it safe. I'm gonna put these pots way in the back. It's a sure thing that they're gonna work out, but they're gonna just be like toasty brown without a whole lot of drama in the effect. Um, and yeah, I've every time I fire a kiln, introduced to a new kind of kiln, there's always this little like decision making of what goes
Hmm.
where. So for like a tea boat, for example, um, I would say it has less necessity for that like streamlined precision
Yeah.
as the teapot,
Yeah.
but there are still some things to think about, because like you want it to sit flat on the table, you don't want it to wobble.
Yeah.
um, and depending how the top tray surface and the basin vessel like how they fit together, how they interact, you also want that fit to be correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so pull that apart. So in that Chaozhou tea boat, the basin is basically just a wide bowl.
Yeah.
The rim kind of turns in a little bit, and then the tray rests on that rim with like a flange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
this,
you could imagine if that bowl was a little bit misshapen because of the flame, then it wouldn't fit very well.
yeah. Yeah, and this definitely is a good bad example. I think the feet I'm less worried about. The foot being flat I'm less worried about, because I pretty much always put these little felt pads on like every single tea boat that I ever get. I'll buy, and I just go to like Walmart and just buy like the 1 inch pads for the bottom, even if they come with pads, just for a softer connection on whatever you're putting it on. So I'd be less worried about the bottom, but the top of this one actually is misshapen, which is why we haven't sold these yet, and why I just keep that. And so I put these on here, and this is a bad and sad solution to put pads like on the top. So yeah, I definitely agree with you that like the top being like flat is a lot more important. The bottom, I mean, yeah, I think the pads could probably help. I have a couple boats that like aren't perfect that the pads on the bottom have fixed, but yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes you see like that bowl maybe is the same, but the tray portion sits down on its own stand, and it's kind of has a
Yeah.
perimeter of space around the outside.
Yeah, yeah. The
And
Mayleaf
that
ones
might
have
be
that.
right, yeah. So that might be a more um like a design that's more able to handle a little bit of um exposure in the kiln, because that fit is less precise.
Yeah.
What about like the surface of the clay? Is it something that you're looking for? In that Chaozhou pot, you have unglazed Chaozhou like red clay.
Yeah.
Um, it's probably a little bit like smooth, but not glazed smooth, not glassy.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, the placement in the kiln will have an effect on that too.
I think the appeal for probably most people, but also for me with the wood kiln, I think is the variation. So I'm not as like the surface of the top. I mean, I guess in an ideal world, it's perfectly flat and smooth, but I use cushions on pretty much everything.
Like a loofah or a felt kind of.
Yeah, it's just like a little loofah. So I put those on. So again, I wouldn't be as like I would be more interested in having a more dynamic surface, like especially for putting it in a wood kiln because like we talk about I've talked about before how like there is an intrinsic like the cost goes up because of the amount of labor that goes in. And so I feel like if we're putting it in the wood kiln and we know the price is going to go up because of that, I'd rather have a more dynamic surface rather than something that is like safer and has a more even surface like a unglazed clay.
Yeah, that's interesting. I made a little bit of a different style, but like one of those wide bowls with a single stand that just big enough for a teapot to sit
Mm,
on. And I made some in my last batch where that tray section had a little bit of a dome shape to it,
hmm.
with the idea that it would drain
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
water better,
Yep.
And I really liked the design. I really liked the look of it. And even when it was just raw in my studio, it was like all playing really well.
Hmm.
And I put in the kiln and I got it out, and that surface was really glossed over. Like
Hmm.
the ash effect was really built up, and the high gloss, and then it was quite slippery.
Yeah.
And so the
The,
combination of
yeah.
the like glazed glass and the domed shape meant that I would put a teapot on and it would just like
Yeah, yeah.
slide out.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I'd be like, oh my gosh, I like this thing, but it's like completely fallen on its face because of this like combination of things.
So one thing I saw, I don't know if you saw at Northwest Tea Fest, Melanie had, she has these like single piece like tea tray kind of boat deals, but the ones that I thought were really ingenious were the ones where they went down instead of going up. So like if it does, I mean, one, you save it from splashing over the sides and you don't have to worry about that. But again, because it was a single piece, then everything still like drains to the bottom and you get like full drainage. And even if it is a little slippery, if it's, I guess in my mind, if it's lower down, it's not really going to fall over as much. But
Mhm.
I mean, again, there is that spectrum. If it is really glossy, like at one of your teapots that I have, actually, like the handle, it got really glossy, and so it's just like a little bit. I mean, it's not really hard to hold, but it's like a little bit hard to hold just because it is like more slippery because it kind of
Yeah, for sure.
got glossy. Yeah,
Those kinds of details like make or break that experience, right? You really
yeah,
want it to be seamless when you're using it. And all as the maker, as the designer, I got to think about all of those little unanticipated possible
yeah,
shifts and failure points.
yeah,
And not to say that that pot has failed, but like if it's just a little harder to hold, then you might be a little less likely to use it when you're reaching for a pot.
for sure, for sure. Rest assured, I love that pot, and I'm not going to stop using it. But I think another thing that goes into that is the size and the shape. Specifically, like when I'm thinking of it, so like you're mentioning how you had one that's like just big enough for like a pot, and we have these like this is like the lid of one of our wastewater bowls. It's not quite a teaboat, but this one's 4 inches. Yeah, that's what I thought. So in my mind, like 4 to 6 inches is kind of too small. From 4 to 6, I drew this my very fancy prototype right here. Yeah, this is my. It's got 6-inch diameter on the inside, not including the lip. And I feel like the 6-inch diameter for me is a good size where if there is any like if we have any issues where like hey it is a little bit glossier or there are like things like that where there are textural issues, you'll still have space, but also there's like enough space for like a 1 to 200 milliliter teapot, a gondabe, and like a cup. So in my mind, like the 6-inch interior is like the perfect size for like a solo kind of session. And then, well, sticking with the circle, I think this one's 10 inches, might be 12. Oh no, this one's actually only 9 on the inside. It's 10 to the rim. But I feel like this one is good. Like I can do 5 or 6. No, 4 or 5. I could do 4 or 5 cups with a pot and other things going on this. So I kind of like the 9 to 10 inch as like a bigger size, and then the 6 inch diameter again of usable surface for the smaller one. If we're talking about a circle, but I guess you probably want to talk about shape too, right? Circle or square or rectangle.
Yeah, I see a lot of really beautiful trays that are rectangular.
Yeah,
Um, the one I use at home is a wooden made by Omar Riverstone
yeah, yeah.
and
Still trying to
is
get one of those.
rectangular. I
Yeah,
know he's not currently active in the studio. Um, but I really like that rectangular format because you can you can put your well, what I do at least is I'll put my teapot or gaiwan
hmm
on the far right side,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
gongdabe in next to that, and then cups.
Cups on the
And
other side. Yeah,
I could do 1 cup, I could do 2 cups, or I could do like four in a square.
yeah,
Um, and it's a nice progression of like boiling water, tea into
hmm
gongdabe into everything. It's just this like very like linear right hand to left side, and then cups are available.
yeah,
And I can use it too for larger parties. I just put the cups on the outside edge, and then I'm doing this similar kind of flow.
yeah, yeah. I feel like the circular and the rectangle are the most useful. I like the circular ones because the deep bases or the ability to have like a lot more capacity for water underneath, which with much less like you don't need a lot more room, right? You don't like you can if you go like half an inch deeper or quarter-inch deeper, you're getting a lot more capacity for like dumping and spilling and pouring, like if you want to go through it. But you're limited because it's a circle. You can't really fit pieces everywhere. Where then I feel like the rectangular ones are great. That was exactly what I was going to say. It's like great for like multiple people, more than just 1 or 2 cups. Yeah, going up to like 4 or 6 or 8 or whatever, depending on how many. The square ones, I don't really understand square tea trays. Just because again, like I think this, like if you have the square, you're losing capacity underneath and the edges, like where there would be like little half moons on the 4 sides for if it was circle. And then again, if it's square, you can't really fit any more. But if it's rectangular, then you can fit more like cups. So yeah,
Yeah, even like at the tea festivals, I'll set up a rectangular tray
yeah,
where I have my vessel, my steeping and decanting vessels, and then people come by the table all day with their cup, and they just put the cup down, and I fill it from that tray, and that setup works really well for that like meandering audience. I think a circle could work pretty well for that too, but
yeah.
the flow like people are coming through like one side to the other, and then if I'm pouring from the other side in, it's just like it's a nice symmetry to that, I think.
I don't know. I mean, this is like we need to figure out probably one to start.
I
Um,
know, yeah. Welcome to my whole creative world.
But I actually a lot of times when I am serving and I do have bigger parties at home, what I'll do is I'll do like my serving stuff on the circular one, and then I have my like my May leaf one. It's like I think it's 10 or 12 inches by maybe 4, the rectangular one, and so I can do. I think I do 15 or 18 cups or something like that. So I can have like a really big
Well,
amounts on there. And then I'll do like one teapot or typically one teapot and then 1 or 2 gong da bays. And then maybe my cup on the circular one. So I can get like, 600 milliliters ish of stuff, all the serving stuff on the circular one. And then the rectangular one can do, yeah, like 15 or 18, like the little ping bays, the small cups, the 30 to 50 mil cups.
mhm,
Yeah, like these little guys. These are
mhm.
so cool. These actually, these Derek got in Shigaraki when he was visiting you.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
cool. What's the Chinese for that?
Pinming Bay. It's sipping cup.
Pinming.
Yeah,
Pinming Bay.
yeah, yeah. Which I think also begs the question: what do you like? What do you actually use? Because I think it's interesting. It's like we're talking about building or making a tea boat, and there's wooden ones, there's stone ones, there's clay ones, obviously. But like, what do you actually use for? Just like all of your teaware. Like, well, let's start with the teapot. I guess we'll just start and work our way down. I'm just curious.
Sure, yeah, yeah. Well, so I, as a potter and a craftsman in this niche,
Yeah,
it benefits me to be hustling the pottery, like clay pottery, wood fired
yeah,
ceramic all the
yeah,
time.
yeah,
Um, but when in my actual drinking practice, I really like to have a variety of elements and materials. and forms from different places. And so probably right now my go-to vessel for drinking white tea, which is like my this whole last year has been kind of where I've been focusing my drinking is on Bimudan.
Yeah, because it's good.
Um, yeah, because I was doing research for my wedding and we served it there.
Hmm.
Um, so because that tea is so fluffy, I'll go for a gaiwan.
Hmm.
It's just so much easier to fill and empty.
Yeah.
And I have a really beautiful like mutton fat or jade porcelain gaiwan from Dehua. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very the same clay and shape or same clay and surface on mine, but mine's a bit bigger and it
Yeah.
has a little more
Yeah. Yours has
flare on the
the
lid.
flared rim. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you don't use clay for? Like typically you're just like, yeah, I don't really use clay as much.
Well, in the picture, the Gong Dao Bei, I
Mm.
do have some clay ones that I like, and I make them. Actually, I was just making them this morning. Um, but I prefer glass on my own table because you can see your tea soup, you can
Yeah. Yeah.
see the color and you get a little bit more of that feedback
Yeah.
visually about what it is you're drinking.
Well, you also have that really nice one from Marcel, right?
Yeah, I got from one of Unearthed Gallery's exhibitions last year.
Yeah.
Um, I can't say the name of the artist, but it's a Japanese glass blower.
Yeah. It's so cool. Every time I'm there, I'm
Yeah.
like, it's so beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I tend to lean more towards teapots than gaiwans nowadays, just because I don't find as many handmade gaiwans that I like as much. But then the teapots, it's literally all over the place because obviously we sell such a variety, and then like stuff from you, and then like Mark will have something new, and then so I feel like teapots, I'm all over the place. Gaiwans, I use either Dehua or like my one nice wood fired one. And I'm the same with pitchers as well. Yeah, I use glass primarily. I do have one really nice wood fired one that I use, but yeah, I do end up using the glass ones more often.
With teapots, I have so many different pots coming through my hands all the time, whether it's because I'm making them or
Hmm.
because I encounter like new ones I think of it as like like a consistent
Yeah, yeah,
research project to be using different forms and different
yeah,
pots and having like developing opinions and an intuition about proportions and everything.
yeah.
I was just at a kiln last weekend with some potters, and one of them is just making his first teapots,
Cool.
exploring that form a little bit. And he was like, "What's the best like lid type?" And I was like, man, like I could write a book about this, like I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
just answer that question in
yeah,
one sentence.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, so I was just trying to impress upon him that there's lots of reasons to have different preferences, and there's
yeah.
lots of solutions to the
The different
pitfalls
problems.
of problems, which are like making it fit well and not burning your hand and
Yeah,
getting leaves in and out. Like those are the things to think about more than what shape is best. It's like what problems are being solved.
yeah. Actually, I think that's the main reason really why I was excited to reach out to you and do like a teaboat specifically, because like, I mean, this is fine, right? Like it does the thing, right? Like but I feel like because it's such a large surface area, being unglazed or plain clay is just kind of, I don't know, not super interesting. And then like when I think of like the porcelain ones from Jing to Jen that are painted, really cool. But again, porcelain is so hard, right? Like that, just the feeling. Like, I mean, granted, like I said, I do use the little loofahs, the cushions, pretty much on everything anyway. But if I did want to not use them, I would not want to like put anything on a porcelain tea tray. I do still want to get some. I do
Yeah,
want to have one, but that's why I'm
just
like,
the sound of like setting down a
yeah,
porcelain gaiwan onto a porcelain tray.
yeah,
It's like very grating. It's like loud and abrupt, and it sort of antithetical to that meditative tea sit.
yeah. So, what do you think you're leaning more towards, rectangular or circular?
I think for my own use, I'm leaning rectangular,
Yeah,
but for making, exploring circular is really like a great place to start.
yeah,
Um, like using the potter's wheel means throwing circles, and
Yeah.
working with clay to make rectangles is also possible, but is like it's a different approach.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That makes me happy because I do want to. I want to pay homage to the Chaozhou ones. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so
definitely.
just that historical lineage is also something to be,
Yeah,
conscious of. And
yeah. It's like, and it's like again, like I'm just excited, like the texture of like your wood fired stuff with like again the where Gongfu tea came from, right? Gongfu tea came from Chaozhou, and these classic red tea boats, um, and yeah, the white porcelain. But I'm excited. I'm excited for it. One thing though we haven't talked about yet is what about drainage, right? So we could do, well, yeah. I mean, there's all the options. We could do a tube running out. If we're doing circular one, I don't really want to do a tube running out. I don't know if you do. You want to do a tube running out?
it's not my intuition.
Okay, great. Super excited about that. That's the nice thing about the circular, though. I think is we have the deep basin.
So it holds enough for a session, and
Yeah,
then you just empty it in the sink.
yeah, yeah. I would say, and again, I don't know if you'd be interested in doing two sizes or if you just want to do one. But I feel like this little bowl, this little wastewater bowl that we have it's okay. I like having it on my desk is like it's just always here. It kind of lives there, and I can dump like two sets of tea leaves and like maybe the rinses from those two sessions. But it's only maybe 200 milliliters, and so it's not like I couldn't use it as the everything. So in my mind, like we have to get closer to like I don't not that there's not like one specific number, but in my mind closer to like 3 to 500 milliliters on like the smaller one, and then the big one, which is just going to be naturally like I mean, this one from Chaozhou, I mean it's what 2.5 inches. Yeah, this one's 2.5 inches, and it's like 1.25 liters or something like that, or 1.5 liters. So it's like I mean, that's enough where you can like I'll accidentally pick it up and it'll like smash against the wall and come out the holes sometimes because I'm like, oh yeah, that's like full of water.
There's a lot of water in
Yeah,
there.
yeah. So say like 3 to 500 milliliters on the small one, and over a liter on the larger one. If you want to do two sizes.
Both could be bowls that are maybe 2 to 3 inches in depth,
Yeah.
or the larger, wider one could be 2 to 3 inches, and the smaller, narrower one might be like 4 inches in depth.
That could be kind of cool. Yeah. I mean, I've never had the ability to like, yeah, pick it for a lot of, yeah, the smaller ones, they do normally keep them, I feel like the same depth, but that could be kind of nice just to have like a little bit more of a platform. Yeah. Four might be high. I mean, obviously we mess around. This is a prototype. We're trying it out, but,
Yeah. So look up that little wastewater bowl again, because I'm seeing that. Yeah, that's not quite full. Maybe more like 3.
yeah. No, this one's actually is 2 and it's not quite 3/4.
So 2 and 3/4. But your diameter is too small, or
Yeah, this one the diameter is too small. It's only 4 inches, so it's like you can barely fit a pot on
Okay.
here if it's bigger.
If we went to 6 on the diameter and kept it at just under 3,
Yeah, I think that's probably
you'd be getting up into that 400 mil range,
yeah.
probably.
And then I think again when we're considering the 6, so like this is 6, and I kind of purposely had them on 45s because if you and I mean this really it's just like thoughts for consideration. If these are up in 90 degrees, then you probably need an extra 1/4 inch on each side, closer to like 6.5 or 6.25 to 6.5, just because of teapot handles. Because
Sure.
it pushes it in, needing to be further in. Only on the small one. I mean, the large one, it doesn't really matter. But just considering like that's one of the like limitations of like this being more like this is why I say like we sell this as it's a wastewater, not a teaboat, because it can only hold a really small pot because it comes up so harshly on the
handle
edges.
has to fit inside that diameter too.
Yeah. Or again, sometimes like
Above it somehow.
yeah, I'll toss like 2 loofahs on it, but like I don't want a customer to have to like put 2 loofahs on it in order to make sure that their teapot handle doesn't hit the edge. So just a consideration there too for that.
Yeah, well, that gives me enough info to get started on some prototypes, I think.
Cool. That's exciting.
Yeah.
When I'm going to put you on the spot. when can people expect potentially to see some prototypes or be ready? There's people who, man, we talked about the stuff from Mark, the first like Galaxy glaze that he made for us. It was like a year before they came out, and I had people every single month that would message me. So I'd like to be a little bit more clear, if possible. What do you think? What do you think is a realistic timeline for getting tested out and having maybe a small batch of like maybe 5 to 10, something like that?
Let me see. Well, today is December 10th, 11th,
12th.
13th.
You're ruining it. Now I have to edit this today.
Today we're in the middle of December.
There we go.
I'm looking at 1 week in the studio to prepare for my New Year's Eve onagama firing.
Yeah.
Um, and I have not, it's basically a commission. I have an opportunity to work with a business in Czech Republic that wants some of my work out at Prague Tea Festival in February,
That's so cool. That's such
which
a
is
good
like
opportunity.
dream come true kind
Yeah,
of,
yeah,
like
for
I
sure.
know I've been looking up to potters in Czech Republic forever and looking at Prague Tea Fest as like
Yeah, yeah.
a place I'd love to be at some point. Um, and so I'm sending some pots there. And so I think this week, my major effort is going to be towards that.
Yeah.
But I may be able to work in like one large and one small of
Yeah.
these prototypes
Cool.
just to run by you.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and with the New Year's Eve firing, that kiln opens up like January 10th, and then I still have to like receive it, clean it up,
Yeah,
photograph it, send it to you.
yeah.
And so realistically, like 6 weeks just to get the very first like prototypes
Cool.
to you, and then probably another like feedback session from you,
Yeah.
making a little adjustments, and then getting back to the studio for the next firing, which is like mid-February, and then another round of like finishing that. And so like earliest for a batch of 5 is probably March.
Let's just keep it easy. Middle of 26, middle of 2026. We'll have it.
Yeah,
Maybe have it by summer. That feels good for we get a full
that
iteration
we can
in.
do.
I don't want to pressure you. I just wanted a something so that we could. But we'll say yeah.
Well,
That
it
sounds
helps
cool.
to even just put words to these processes, right?
Yeah.
Because like I'm often I'm trying to spend my time efficiently, but also in a focused way to make my work as high quality as I can.
Yeah.
And that often is in contradiction to like the fast turnaround and like I want this now kind of
Yeah.
mentality that is most of our economy is built on that, right? And so
Yeah.
it's like I don't uh, I have to contend with that a lot. And so speaking those processes to an audience and to you like helps put that truth out there.
Definitely helps for me so that I can plan and kind of figure in like, hey, when we'll fit in. I'm looking at openings for next year's drops. Yeah, I think we have two right around those times. That'd be sweet. Actually, I have an opening for. I literally have American Potter on my calendar for March, but I also have another opening a month or two later as well. So either way, that definitely helps me with planning, and it'd be cool. Because yeah, your stuff came and went last time we dropped it, which was awesome, and I'm super excited to kind of like bring something. Well, for you to bring something to life, me to just talk to you about it, be a part of it.
Yeah, well, it's for me. It's like the whole artistry of teaware is like the making skill of working with clay and working with kilns and those ceramic process skill,
Mhm.
um, but also the knowledge and hands-on experience of making and drinking tea.
Yeah,
And so there's a lot of really incredible potters who don't have that tea discipline, and it's very difficult for them to approach teaware with that level of nuance and
yeah,
sophistication that's necessary.
for sure.
I feel kind of lucky to have, both the ceramic art skill and the tea practice that allows me to be positioned really well to be using, using both to make work that fits that.
Yeah, let me just say, you're a great teapot maker. That's what he's getting at. That's what Jonathan's getting at very humbly, and it's so true.
Well,
It's so true because like when we go to Jing to Jen, right? When Derek goes to Jing to Jen, there's so much cool There's so many cool different pieces of pottery and ceramics and porcelain and things like that. But there's a lot of people who like they don't know how to like make functional teaware because they don't drink tea. And so like it looks really cool or it's really fancy, but it doesn't do the thing. So I'm very
The
excited. Yeah.
the most meaningful feedback I get regularly from tea shop owners, tea business people about my pots is like, "Oh, you drink tea."
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Yeah, I
Yeah,
do. Thank you."
that's the
And
biggest like yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's huge. It means everything because there's a lot of potters who make great pots but don't drink tea,
Hmm.
and those pots are going to perform the same way because there's that nuance.
Yeah.
But what I was really trying to get at is that you, as a very avid tea drinker
Hmm.
and a collector of pots, and like you're familiar with so many different types of teaware from different places, from China, from different lineages. Like even if you're not hands-on in clay right now,
Hmm.
your perspective on this conversation is super valuable
Oh,
for my ability to then go into the studio and make these things. So
thanks, man. All right, Jonathan, get back in the studio, dude. Before you make me blush too much. We gotta go.
okay,
It's time for me to go drink
yeah,
more tea and you to go make more pots.
I gotta make some pots for Prague. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Peace.